We often imagine history as a flawless, infinite vault, a place where every human event, kingdom, and document is safely preserved and perfectly kept. For centuries, the ultimate symbol of this historical vault has been the Great Library of Alexandria, a massive intellectual center where scholars gathered and the ancient Mediterranean's entire collection of ideas was safely housed under one roof. And the famous story of how we lost it is incredibly dramatic. A single catastrophic night where massive fires raged, suddenly consuming the archives and turning humanity's accumulated knowledge into ash. It makes for a great movie scene, but the reality of how history actually loses an answer is far less spectacular. The exact destruction of the library is complicated, and the real threat to our past is actually deeply mundane. There likely wasn't one explosive night when every book vanished. Ancient institutions simply declined. Wars came and went. Political upheaval disrupted cities, and large collections were broken up or damaged over generations. Instead of a sudden drop-off, this graph shows knowledge loss as a slow decline. Works stopped being copied and papyrus decayed. But the biggest eraser is human apathy. When nobody saves an ordinary document, it quietly slips out of existence. Knowledge usually isn't destroyed, it simply stops being remembered. The past erodes day by day until we are left holding nothing but fragmented shadows. When you try to reconstruct a world from those fragments, you quickly run into one of the most frustrating obstacles in historical research. Surviving evidence often gives us the shape of a question, but hides the actual answer. Take a look at this physical fragment of ancient papyrus. Imagine reading a text like this, where the beginning and ending are missing, leaving only one surviving sentence that reads, "And then the army entered the city." Which army? Which city? Why did they enter? The missing pages held those details. To narrow the possibilities, researchers cross-reference later accounts, searching for a Roman author or a Greek traveler who might have quoted the original, vanished work to fill in the gaps. Physical places present the exact same problem. Archaeologists continually uncover sprawling settlements that were once vital centers of civilization. The ruins prove people were there, and the empty streets prove they left. But the specific reasons they abandoned their homes, drought, war, or economic collapse, remain completely missing. This happens constantly. We find references to books that no longer exist, or walls of cities with forgotten names. Historians are continually haunted by the knowledge that someone, at some point, knew the whole story. To complicate things even further, the historical record we do have is heavily biased. What manages to survive the elements and time overwhelmingly reflects the perspectives of those who held power. We see this clearly in artifacts like this rigid stone inscription beneath these carved animal heads. Kings and empires deliberately built monumental architecture and commissioned formal texts to project a self-glorifying narrative. They possessed the resources to carve their versions of reality into stone for future generations. Meanwhile, the ordinary people, the farmers, soldiers, merchants, and marginalized voices, left almost nothing behind. A rival account describing that same king as a tyrant, written by a common citizen, might have given us a completely different understanding of their civilization, but those voices are lost. Because of these massive gaps, historians rarely have the luxury of absolute certainty. When you hear researchers use phrases like probably, possibly, or evidence suggests, they aren't guessing blindly. That language is a sign of honesty. Academic uncertainty is a rigorous tool used to navigate a record that is missing more than it preserves. They are carefully stating the explanation best supported by the evidence they currently possess. But history never completely forgets. There is something incredible about archaeology. It acts as an ongoing rebellion against time. Human beings keep finding the exact things time tried to hide. Cities re-emerge from forgotten fields. Intact shipwrecks are pulled up from the bottom of the oceans. Ancient roads map themselves out beneath entirely modern landscapes. Look closely at these distinct cuneiform markings carved into this shattered piece of clay. When researchers decipher forgotten languages like this, they are literally allowing voices that have been dead for millennia to speak their truth back to the modern world. Every single inscription, coin, or fragment we recover is a deliberate message from someone who lived before us. It proves that the past is never completely silent. It is simply waiting to be translated. Yet, for all our discoveries, we still face an ultimate limitation. The greatest mystery isn't knowing an answer was lost. It is realizing the sheer volume of answers we don't even know we are missing. These are the unknown unknowns. There are entire civilizations whose names are permanently forgotten, languages that vanished before a single word could be recorded, millions of human lives that left absolutely no physical trace on the earth. But that limitation also brings a thrilling possibility, because tomorrow an archive could be opened, or an ancient wall could be moved, revealing one single undiscovered piece of evidence that forces us to rewrite an entire chapter of our past. The study of the past accounts for what survived, but it also catalogs everything humanity lost. We continue to question the Earth and the archives, knowing that somewhere in the dark, the missing answer is still waiting.